Good evening, and welcome to Rush Business. This uh, evening, we are, of course, celebrating International Women's Day. It is the 8th of March 2022. My name is Randolph Critchlow. Welcome to those persons joining us internationally in the region and right here in Guyana. We want to say thank you very much for being a part of the program. Thank you very much for tuning in. We know that you could be doing anything this evening. You could be spending it with that special woman in your life, whether it be your mother, your sister, your wife, your significant other. But you are here with us, and we want to say very special, a very special happy International Women's Day to all our loyal viewers who are tuned into the program every single evening. All of our programming, not just the Rush Business that's on Tuesdays and Fridays. But of course, those of you who tune into the programming we have here on APNU AFC TV. And of course, we're asking that you share the live stream. We're going to be coming back and we're going to be talking about the significance and the contribution of women in our society and a whole lot of other topics. We're going to be joined by three of our female MPs. We're going to be telling you who they are in just a moment. But they're going to be joining our panel as we discuss this evening breaking the bias. Of course, that is the theme for International Women's Day 2022. And we want to say thank you very much for being a part of the programming. Let's go, folks. Let's start the program the right way, and then we'll be back and we'll give you a shout out. So, in the comment section, let us know where you're joining us from on this International Women's Day. We are
You are now with The Rush Business with Randolph Critchlow.
Yes, thank you very much for staying tuned, folks. Thank you very much for staying tuned. Let us go to the comment section and give our shout outs to those persons who are joining us right now from all over the world. Brooklyn is in the house. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much. Let me just ensure that we share our live at all the places. Right, Tiger Bay is in the house. Thank you very much for tuning in. Barbados, a pleasant good evening to you. Miss McDonald tuning in. Smith from Antigua. All the women who tune in to our program, we want to say thank you very much. We are going to be sharing the live stream. We hope that you share it in your WhatsApp groups, which you share it on your Facebook pages as we celebrate our women today. Yes, London is in the house. Thank you very much for tuning in. New York, thank you very much for tuning in. Florida is in the house also. Thank you very much. A very big thank you very much for tuning into our programming. We want to ensure that you are getting us loud and clear. So we're getting our technical team to sort a few things out on the other end. But we're going to be going with our program. We're going to be starting our program. Yes, of course, you know today is International Women's Day. It's the 8th of March when we celebrate and recognize the contribution of women all around the world. And today is no different. Quite an interesting day at school. We saw the hairstyles, and we're going to talk about that a little later. But we're going to be discussing a lot with our panel in just a moment. But we want to start with a video, and we're going to play this video to start our program in, and then we'll come in with some other videos, and we'll kind of tailor our discussion on International Women's Day from the topics brought up in these videos. So let's start with our first video, and we will pull it up from the beginning. Right.
I wanted to show all girls that their value and potential is infinite.
We clear a woman's way. We don't fear the day she steps into the light because we are with her.
Because we are with her every step of that fight.
Women have a special opportunity to live the revolution.
If the first woman God ever made was strong enough to turn the world upside down, all alone.
These women, together, ought to be able to turn it back and get it right side up again. And the men better let them!
You have to stop asking for permission. You have to stop asking
For permission.
Women will have achieved true equality when men share with them the responsibility
of bringing up the next generation.
Doubt and dreams can't ride together. Each will take down the other.
It is said that girls with dreams become women with vision.
because it isn't enough to simply talk about
equality. Let us work at it together, starting now.
That's the history of the world. His story is told, hers isn't. I feel that has to change, and women are going to have to change it.
Human rights are women's rights, and women's rights are human rights once and for all.
Somewhere downtown, wish for a better life, unlock the intelligence, unlock the passion, unlock all of the great things that they hold within themselves.
Dream with ambition, lead with conviction, and see yourself in a way that others may not, simply because they've never seen it before. But know that we will applaud you every step of the way.
Hashtag Her Voice Matters.
Historically, women have had to speak louder to have their voices heard. 33,000 girls become child brides every day. 40% of women have suffered sexual harassment in the workplace. Only 6 countries give women equal legal work rights as men. This International Women's Day, join CARE.
Join CARE to make these injustices history once and for all. The words we say and the actions we take today can make a difference for her tomorrow. Share her voice and amplify it around the world. CARE.org.
Right, that message from CARE.org, and I hope that that started your ball off on the right foot as we celebrate and recognize not only the issues confronted by women, but also the achievements. And on that note, we will be welcoming our guests in tonight, our distinguished panel of very accomplished women. And let me add them to our program. We have MP Nima Flu-Best. MP, welcome to the program. We have MP Natasha Singh-Lewis, and we have MP Coretta McDonald also on our panel. Let me move our banner so we can get to see the faces of these lovely women. Thank you very much for being a part of the program. And let me say, first off, happy International Women's Day, and I hope that you had a wonderful day.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Randy. But I'm just wondering why I'm meeting these young ladies again at this time, because I met them twice today and I'm meeting them again.
Wonderful. Well, yeah.
It's your lucky day.
Randy, the love is real.
Yes, definitely.
We build each other. We support each other.
Definitely. As we talk, ladies, I am going to just ensuring that we share our live stream, because our live stream is apparently not on all the pages. I'll ensure I do that. But I want to start the ball rolling with our questions. I know this is a business program, so to speak. It's a Rush Business. And we're going to divert a little tonight from only talking business, but because we have so many issues to address. Of course, the theme of International Women's Day 2022 is breaking the bias, right? Yeah. Breaking the bias, and I want to ensure that we kind of touch on that before we go further down the other issues. I know that there are lots of bias, and as women, you would have faced some of them in the workplace, in your home, in society in general. And I want you to start off. I know who will take the baton first, but tell us, what does this day mean to you, and of course, how do you interpret the theme of this year's International Women's Day? I don't know. Anybody can take it off.
All right, Randy, I'm going to start off. Good night to you, and thanks for having us on your program tonight. Good night to your viewers. I know they're all excited. Today, International Women's Day, which is celebrated under the theme, let me get it right for you.
Breaking the bias.
Gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And then we have breaking the bias.
Yes.
This day, I think after much thought, this day came about because we have recognized, and I'm saying we here loosely because I'm referring to the persons who actually conceptualize this day. They've recognized that women are the backbone of any organization, of any country, of any community. Without women, then you'll have nothing. As a matter of fact, let me break it down to say, women are the ones who are there supporting the males. We spread the tablecloths, we form the crowds when it's time for protest action, we form the crowds in our workplaces, we are the ones who elect the men, we are the ones who fix everything in the home, from the father to the baby. We cook, we wash, we do everything. And so this day was set aside to recognize the contributions that women have made, not only in the home, but in the church, in politics, in the factories, and everywhere else, in health and everywhere else. Women have been leading out. Women have made their contributions. They have caused significant barriers to be broken. And so this day was set aside. But what does this day mean to me? It means a whole lot to me, because I am here standing on the shoulders of very, very strong women who would have sacrificed, who would have made sacrifices and created that path when there were barriers. They created that path so that I can stand on it. And because I can stand on their shoulders, I too am making that kind of headway for the girls who are going to be following me tomorrow and next week. And so it is important for me as a woman to ensure that whatever I do out there, that it is impactful positively, so that young women coming after me, they are going to see in me a role model, one, and two, they are going to be able to triumph over the challenges that I was able to lead the path, or to cut a pathway for women in the workplaces, women in politics, women in churches, and women or young girls just about everywhere. That's what International Women's Day means to me. More than that, and let me just add this little piece. More than that, it says to me that as a woman, if I sit with other women and we applaud and lift them up, then we can be a stronger force and we can create that strength for each other.
Yeah. I come to Natasha. I pass the baton to you. Yes.
Let me just repeat the theme. It says gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow.
Yeah.
And Randy, what have we done? If we were to examine that theme, what have we done in Guyana as a society to ensure that we have gender equality? So how do we ensure that the women have an equal space at the table? How do we ensure that women are respected? How do we ensure that women are given the right resources, the adequate amount of resources to do what is necessary? And as Coretta said, we are the people who start every single thing that a man propels off or propels on. How? What do we do? And so I want to examine what the UN would have said. And they said, we can never be assured of gender equality if there is no respect for women. And I want to zoom in on that for us this evening. We can never be assured of gender equality if there is no respect for women. Achieving gender equality is an extremely huge task. At the moment, when we look at women in leadership, we know what the percentage of women in the National Assembly is. Have we taken a key look of what our percentage in the RDCs, women leadership in the RDCs, women leadership in the NDCs, women leadership in the municipalities? And those are all women in political appointments. Have we taken a look to see what's happening there? Are we working towards achieving gender equality with our women political leaders? And so, Randy, when we speak about gender equality, we need to examine the work plan of our nation. We need to know if the government, and forgive me for narrowing down there, because that's where we have to get the work started, because there is a national budget that allows for developmental program for our women at various levels. If we are to achieve gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow, then the work has to start now. Are we in that realm to continue the good work that the women before us would have started? And so I say to sustain gender equality, a lot of work needs to be done.
Definitely, and I'm happy that I'm actually happy that you narrow it down, because we have to talk about what is happening at the moment, and those are all good questions. Hopefully we can get some answers by the end of this program. I'm going to pass the baton to MP Nima Flubes. Same question. Your thoughts on International Women's Day and what it means to you.
All right, thank you so much, and good evening to all. I like what I read that says, imagine a gender equal world, a world free of bias, stereotypes, and discrimination, a world that's diverse, equitable, and inclusive, a world where difference is valued and celebrated. Together, we can forge women's equality collectively. We can all break the bias. Today, I use it as a day of reflection because, like my comrade would have said, Coretta, we are standing here because of the strong women who went before us, who would have done a lot of work that we can be here. And on this day, I reflect and I thank my Heavenly Father for all the women who would have played and continue to play a key role in my life. And I'm happy now that I can continue to be a good role model, an example to those that the girls that I will come into contact with and I can share with. And like Comrade Natasha spoke earlier, what have we done as a country to bring our women to that level? What programs, what was introduced to help us to come to that equality. And so today, I was so delighted to be among the girls and to see them celebrate on this day and reflect on all that has been happening. We celebrate all the professionals, women who continue to work in the profession, different professions, and yet still performs the role of a mother, a wife, and taking care of the family. So that's my thoughts on that.
Thank you very much for that. Let me just add MP. Yes. Thank you very much for that, MP. Hold on, let me, the operator. It's operating thing. All right, good folks. We are back, and thank you very much, MP Nima Flew Best, for that. And I want to mix the conversation here because I know there are a number of women's issues that we may touch on this evening. But I want us. I've prepared a few talking points, so to speak, and I encourage you to jump in at any point to share your view. And I want to go to this first. Video. And the video speaks of some issues that are affecting women. But I want to jump to a particular part in the video, and I want to get your thoughts on what is said here. Right?
Number one is that, especially in Africa, they believe that women, their place is in the kitchen. Why would anybody think that a woman's place is in the kitchen? For me personally, I feel like, cooking and all of that is a chore like other chores. Like, washing plates, is another chore. Laying the bed is another chore. There are different chores that you can choose from. So why would they single it out and say, oh, a woman's place is in the kitchen and the woman needs to be cooking? Sometimes I feel like you can delegate some things, and that's how you can even be more effective as a leader. And that takes me to my second bias.
Right. So that first bias that she spoke of there, that first bias is something that has been around. We could talk about gender roles and stuff, but there's this perception that women, their places in the kitchen. And do you see it as a bias? Anybody,
yes,
you can jump in. Go ahead.
Yes, I see it as a bias. Why is it that the men can't go in the kitchen and assist in cooking and helping to prepare, or be in the kitchen with the woman and help to prepare the meals? Why is it that we should see it as a woman's role, that her place is in the kitchen? I don't see it as that.
Thoughts, ladies?
So Randy, let me say this to you. I believe this issue, and I believe tonight is a teaching moment. I will join the other three teachers on the panel here, Randy. I believe tonight is a teaching moment. And so we have to share the different perspectives so that people can have a better understanding. And I speak from a Muslim perspective. Islam teaches us that everything that has to be done in the house, from child rearing to chores to everything else, the man has an equal role in the responsibilities.
Yes.
A greater role in the upbringing of the children. Islam also teaches women to be independent, to be educated, and all the biases that you can think that people, or the stereotypes that people use to label women. Islam teaches that women has the foremost respect in any society. And so that bias of being in the kitchen, I believe it has no place in society, because I believe that there are other religious understanding that chores in the house, including bringing up of children, has to be shared. And so I believe it has no place in our society.
No place in our society. And before I ask MP McDonald to jump in here, this is an issue that is addressed on both sides. And how do we raise and acculturate boys to believe that they are not supposed to do certain things, right? And they are women things to do in the house, and they are men things to do in the house. Do you believe that that is healthy, MP McDonald? Hold on, I think your mic is off. 1 second. Go ahead. Hold on. Oh,
Randy, I'm going to jump in. Are you hearing me now?
Yes, go ahead.
Good. I'm going to tap into what Natasha spoke about just now, and to say this is really a learning experience, because my whole I grew up learning that in the Muslim faith, they see women as being in the home, that women should not be here, women should not be there. I don't know, maybe things are changing, or maybe that was the wrong concept that was passed across. But I'm happy that I'm hearing that in the Muslim faith, a woman is seen just as equal as a man, and there are no barriers. And women are being pushed, let me say that, to make themselves better than who they were yesterday. And let me go to Christianity, where the Bible says that a woman and her husband, that the woman should be alongside her husband, not behind, not in front, but you should be side by side. And that in itself says to us that there is no barrier, because if we are side by side, then there shouldn't be any me thing or you thing. But you know what? Our society would have cultured us into knowing or into feeling that washing the dishes is for girls, and if boys have to wash dishes, watch them. Something passing there. Boys should not be fixing the house in terms of putting up curtains. Boys should not be cooking. Boys should not be doing this. As a matter of fact, the girls should be in the home learning to cook and learning to fix house and so on, so that when they get older and they are married, then they know how to operate in their homes. While the males are taught, and let me use this little term here, which says, a little slang that says, a girl's place is in the house, but the boy's place is on the road. I'm sure you would have heard that I loosen my ram goat, but I keep him a heifer in. And that there is what would have cultured us and have caused us to be where we are now. But you know what? I'm happy that kind of role is changing now, where men are being taught, as boys, they're being taught it's okay to wash dishes. It's okay to help clean the house. It's okay for you to put up the curtains. It's okay for you to help decorate the Christmas tree. And it's okay for boys to express themselves by crying. You know, back then we were told, you know, when the little boys are growing up and the little boy is crying, shut up, you want to be a girl, what are you crying for? But I'm happy that that is now changing. And we are saying to our males that women are just as important as you are. Women can perform roles just as you are performing roles in the workplaces. When we look around now, what we're seeing, traditional jobs that men were dominating, we are seeing women. We are seeing women climbing the lampposts. We are seeing women in the mechanic shops. And so things are evolving, and that kind of stereotype is no longer there. But let's not fool ourselves. We still have somewhat liming around, which I think maybe time would help us to get rid of that. But our job is to ensure that we educate the younger ones, so that when their time, when it is their time to lead, that they would be at a point where they see women as being equal as men, and whatever job a man can do, a woman can do it just the same. A woman can operate a speedboat, a woman can use a chainsaw, a woman can be a mason, a woman can be whatever it is that men dominated. And let me take it a little more, where we talked, and those were the kinds of jobs that we saw there. But then let me take it a little more. If we look at what statistics would have shown us, it has shown us that almost 60% of women experience bias in the workplaces, whether it's done deliberately or unconsciously. And when we look again, we see it's harder for a woman to get a job. It's harder for a woman to fit into somewhere. But with men, You know, it's always easy, and the kinds of treatment that women are given, it's totally different from what we see our males experience. As a matter of fact, in certain sectors of job, a woman is performing the job and the male is performing the job too, but you find the male is being paid higher than the female. And so these issues that are still lingering, we have to advocate, we have to agitate so that persons would understand, especially our younger generation, that women are just as equal as men. So I'm happy for this day.
One of our viewers shares the same view, Marcia Seeley. Let me share what she would have said. All the roles are shared in the household because some women do take the roles as a head of the house and of the household when the man can't. And we know that this is so. Right? And Natasha, you wanted to say something? Sorry, I think I caught you.
I was going to say something, Randy.
Go ahead, sorry, it's the wrong mic I heard. Go ahead.
Could you imagine, like Marcy Seeley said, these young men, when they're not exposed from home, and that comes through parenting, you have your sons at home and you're not teaching them to do different chores. When they get married and they have their wives or their families, they cannot be of help to them because they were not trained that way. And how unfortunate or how sad it is when your wife would go to work and you at home early, wouldn't light the stove, try to cook anything or to help wash the dishes. But when the woman walks in from her tired job, she has to go wash the dishes and still cook for you to eat.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah. And I like that we had a discussion there on the family, but I want to go a little forward and let's talk about the community. And we'll take our cue from this question here and as we transition into what should be done in our communities, so not only support, but to try and find a way for those women who might be struggling. I want to share this video and then we'll come back on the other side, continue discussions.
Ways that we've been able to break the biases through the work that we do at Economy is by offering community. For example, in a community, when you see woman A doing something, it's easy for you to say, okay, if woman A could do it, I can do it too. But also leveraging peer-to-peer mentorship. You know, you don't have to always look up to see, a mentor. You can look down, you can look side, you can, look up as well. So we're giving that avenue where people are free enough to ask, their peer or anybody who they feel, has something that they need, and they can easily walk up to them and say that, okay, I'm a part of the economic community, I'm struggling with this thing, can you help me out, can you show me the way, can you point me in this direction, can you introduce me to this person that can help me, solve whatever problem I'm working on. So I think community is super, super important in what we're doing. And in fact, Economy even knows, or we know, we've already seen the statistics, we know that women cannot be empowered through bank accounts alone. They need community, they need opportunities like financial services, and they also need access to capacity building. A lot of women take the back seat, especially women that maybe now have kids. They just slow down with their careers or their businesses and all of that. But even though that is the path that you want to take, you can build your capacity while you take time out to maybe help out your children, or maybe get your children to a particular age before you get back into the hustle and bustle of life. So we're giving that avenue where women can learn new skills, they can develop themselves. We partner with so many organizations that bring on experts to come and teach our women on different things that can help them improve on themselves, on their businesses, or in their careers. So,
right. Let me take that there, and I wanted my takeaway from that is that women cannot be empowered by bank accounts alone. They need community. They need opportunity and capacity building. Natasha, do you agree?
Randy, why does that bank account part strike you first?
No, because I think it's a striking statement, because some people might say, just give the woman money and everything will be fine. Right? But this idea of community, and this brings me to the questions you were asking. What are we doing to empower? What are we doing to build capacity? I want you to take it away. Do you believe that we have the structures in place in Guyana right now to kind of lift those women, even if you have to put them towards entrepreneurial opportunities? Your thoughts?
Randy, I do believe that we have existing structures in place at a community level to deal with those kinds of things, because you and I will know the APNU AFC government would have done tremendous work in communities in relation to women development in this country. A particular issue that really bothers me, and I noticed it was a focus a few days ago in Region 2, where a young lady was talking about, and I have to bring this out. I'm not sorry, but some things we stop talking about in society. A Muslim woman is another woman. It's just that we are obedient to our Creator. We dress differently, but apart from that, I have the same brain. I might have a different ethnicity, but I am woman. And so I have the same needs. I may deal with things differently, but I am woman. This young girl was talking about her experience, and she was seeking help. And somebody, she posted all of her story. I read that story and I cried so much. And I looked at all of the government female ministers who somebody shared the post and tagged all of them in it. And I said, you know what? Apart from me reaching out to this young lady, let me see what they will do for her. But the story is, she got married to somebody, a total stranger. It's nothing new in Islam. In Guyana, for instance, culturally, they find a boy from somewhere. He is known to the community as a good person, and we call it a match wedding, right? And she left Region 3 and she went to Region 2, where she has no family support. And she obviously, from the situation, looks like she comes from a very poor family. And situation changed. He started doing things differently. And I'm not going to say what he did, but the post says he didn't treat her kindly. There was a child involved. At one point, she's seeking help because she went out and she looked for a job so that she could be able to sustain herself, to walk away from an abusive relationship, to walk away from a community where she has no relatives and nobody to reach out to. And the thought, the issue that I underscored, well, there were so many, domestic abuse, all sorts of things in that one post. And I asked myself, how could one woman endure all of that? And when I saw that post, I said, this is a cry for help. If she muster the courage to put her personal life on Facebook, that is a call. That is a cry for help. The story was riddled with all sorts of abuse and neglect. What I underscored is when she mustered the strength to walk away from all of this, found a job, she was willing to go back and do her CXC and so on while maintaining this minimum paying job. But she had a child. And if there is a community that provides that we call it that center, the word childhood center, early childhood center, that you can drop off your child, but whenever the shift starts at 8 o'clock or when, drop off the child and be able to pick up back that child in the afternoon. That she didn't have.
Yeah. Child
and
care.
so she had to be sending the child to the father. Now, I do believe that we have women in our society, especially the underprivileged society, the communities, who are willing to make that step, to correct a behavior, to move forward positively. I do believe that there are a lot of women who will make the sacrifice to do things differently and to do things positively. But if we can enable them, those who, if we have a lot of small children, the community is supposed to identify that there is a need. So we need to set up a daycare. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yeah, daycare, child care center, yes.
A center where these women can come and drop their children off, know that they're safe and they're taken care of. And I can tell you, under the APNU AFC government, we did that.
Yeah.
We did that. And I know for sure in at least 3 regions on the coast, we had daycare centers free of cost. We also embarked upon training personnel to run those centers so that women can go back to school and women can go to work and be assured that their children are taken care of. So in my opinion, that is one aspect that community can play a part.
Thank you, MP. And I'm going to ask all of you, when we come closer to the end of the program, to some of those suggestions as to things that need to be in place so that we can see that sort of assistance that is needed for the women in our society. And we come to MP Nima Flu-Best, and I know that you are involved at the community level. I know you are involved with the farmers market and a number of other things happening in your community. How do you see the role of women in what happens in your constituency?
All right, tonight I want to say hats off to all the women who would make plantain chips to sell, chicken foot, mitai, tambrong ball. They would do the little kitchen garden, bring out the little produce. If they get some okra and it's enough for them to sell, they would bring it out to sell. I want to say hats off to all the women I would have met in the different communities. You know, even as Comrade Singh spoke there, I was reminded of this mother that I met at the Yarrow Cabro. Of course, it's during the pandemic, and she was explaining how difficult it was to provide for her family. And so what she did, she had a little income, and she used that to start making some plantain chips and some mitai and little frying nuts and so to sell, so that she can turn over the money to also provide food for her family. When we look at that, and all the other several examples we have, for the women, they play a key role in helping to empower the family and the community by doing these little things that they do. I can recall under the coalition government when they had a program where they trained young entrepreneurs in my community. And today, because of that program, I can enjoy Hungry Helpers who have the business going on and other small businesses. Even for agriculture, a lot of women, you find them involved in the little kitchen garden, which helps to cushion the economic crisis that we have ongoing in Guyana. And most importantly, family support is important. When you listen to the story that was presented by Comrade Singh, and you think about the importance of having your family there to lend support to the women who have to go out and seek outside jobs to help to provide for the family. We see the need and the importance of having a family support and a community support. In my community, I can tell you that when you need help, you get the help once you know how to reach out and give that support. I'm also part of a very dynamic women's group at the Church of the Nazarene in Mocha, where they lend support to women if you may not need help to prepare things and all of that. And you have training sessions done to help women in craft, in cookery, and there are several groups that I will have come across on the East Bank, whether it be a church group or a women's group, that provide that kind of support and empowerment for women. Hats off to the women at Timeri North. They got a little saltfish business that they do at the co-op. That also helps the women in terms of economics and cushioning what can happen.
MP, and again, this stressing this idea of community. MP McDonald, I know that you, I know you wear the hat of the Guyana Teachers Union. The teaching service is one that is dominated by females. We cannot deny this. I've always said that the male teacher is an endangered species, and you know, it shows in our schools. And so, you know, today when I went to school, I saw that even the female students are engaging in this expression of self through here. You know, it was quite a nice feeling to see the teachers and the students taking pictures and you know, everybody with elaborate hairstyle. But I want you to comment on, you know, if you can take it there, the role of women in education. If you want to take it there. I know if you have a comment on what we were talking about community, but if you have, you can add to my question. Go ahead. We are not. Hold on.
Sorry.
Yes.
There's this saying which says, "The hand that rocks the cradle rules the world." The way to a man's heart or a woman's heart is through his or her stomach. And so with women cooking, then you know what happens there. Women, like I said earlier, women are the ones who take care of babies and the children, the rearing of the children. But how does the community impact that? We have recognized before, and this is another old saying, the rearing of a child is not only the responsibility of the home, but that of the community. But if there is no community to give the kind of assistance to help to provide the cradle to be rocked, or to help you to rock the cradle, then you understand exactly what can happen there. And so we see women as being critical, or the role of women as being critical in molding our society. And so it is our society where we have all of these women who should be playing that key role in helping to mold our children, our young boys, our young girls, into making them the productive citizens that we want to see them be tomorrow or next week or next year. Education, women's role in education, and Randy, you said it not too long. Teachers, female teachers make up what? I think 85% or more of the teaching fraternity. And it is because you see these females there all the time. They're the ones who are heading schools, they're deputies in schools, they're heads of departments, they're senior masters, mistresses, just about everything. As a matter of fact, in many, many schools, we have all female on staff. And this has come, or it has caused us to realize that women are just as equal as men, because in these instances, women have to be the father, they have to be the attorney, and these are the teachers. They have to be the nurse, the doctor, the counselor, the every single thing in that environment. When we have issues with our students or our pupils, the female teachers are the ones who are there to resolve these issues. And if we move out of education, if we look at what is happening in the public sector, in the public service, many of the offices, when we go, we see them being dominated by women. And so I want to say that the role of women is very critical. And as women, we have to understand, we have to be taught that we are important to society. We are important to the upbringing of our children. We are important as a partner at the bargaining table, so that we can sit there, we can discuss issues, we can arrive at decisions which will not only benefit us, but which will benefit our male counterparts, and more especially our children, who are the future generation. And it's because we have lost sight of this key role that we ought to play. The home, the school, the church, and the community. It is for that reason, because we have lost track, that we're having so many ills in our society. Randy, you have seen, or you know, and all of us know, back then, 25 years ago, 30 years ago, we had single parenting. We had women there rearing 8 and 9 and 10 and 11 children when their husbands went wherever to work, far away from home. The women were there. In instances where the men were not there as the husbands, and they were visiting fathers, the women were there. And we saw the kinds of product we had back then in the form of what we ministers and engineers and so on. So it's not different now, except that we have become a little more modernized now, but the roles have not changed. And so it is our duty to remind our folks every day, every night, every morning, that we have a role to play in our society. and to let them understand that your role is important and you have to function. More than that, we need that support base to ensure that our mothers can function. And the support base we're talking here about is community involvement, a little sewing class for those who are not academically there, some counseling classes, something, cake decoration, something. And for those who are academically there, we give them that push. But it's our role as a society, every single one of us, it is our role to ensure we identify where the needs are and stop thinking about it's not me. You see me, I'm well off. I don't let them try it in the corner, this their business. No, because when the fan starts to spill, all of us will get a touch of what is happening. And that's exactly what's happening in the society right now. So we've got to jump on the bandwagon again and to recognize that we are a part of the community. We are a part of the village. We are all a part of this country. And if we want to make things right, then we have got to play our parts. We have got to be able to speak when we have needs to speak. We have to call out people when they do the wrong things. And we have to stop sitting and deciding that, hey, this is my organization. So if Randy does something wrong, I can't call out Randy. No, we have to start doing that. We have to start living by those moral principles that existed way back then that we want to change now. We have to start going back to those rules, those values, so that we can make our society, we can make our communities, we can make our country a better place.
Right. Well said, MP. Yes, Natasha, go ahead. Jump in.
I want to circle back. I am watching your program, Time for You, right?
Yes.
I started off by saying that this has to be a teachable moment. So I want to circle back to the hashtag for today, break the bias. And so we all understand when we speak about breaking the bias, a bias is having a preference for one over the other. I want to circle that to our society where we live in. We live in a multicultural, multi-ethnic society. And so we have to understand what are the stereotypes and what are the biases. And the law of attraction says each one of us has a bias. And bias are sometimes implicit and some are explicit. Now, if we are multicultural, multi-ethnic, and we have biases, what we have to do is seek to understand what our own biases are and how we can reduce that. And so you would be able to break those biases. Up front, number one on the list or the agenda should be racism. We should understand that as a multi-ethnic society, we are different and we are better together. We are individuals, we are different. You cannot be me because my socialization is very different from yours. And so Coretta cannot be Natasha and Nima cannot be Natasha. All right? So if we understand that our uniqueness is a strength, then we will be able to address that bias that we have towards the other ethnicities. And the list goes on. We speak about the coastland people and the hinterland people. We prefer the coastland people because some people say, they're more shine. But that's not true. But that's a bias. And how do we address those things? And so as Esther, one of your viewers, who I know as a guy, and he's living in Barbados, Esther is saying, Randy, and I hope that you will take this as one of your reviews. I deem it to be very serious, that we need more programs like these to educate the population. We all dress up with nice purple and lilac and so on today, and I see a lot of white t-shirt saying, break the bias. But do you understand what a bias is as a person? And in this context, we were talking about International Women's Day, break the bias. But do you understand your bias against women, against their ethnicity, against their religion? against the status of the workplace. Do you really understand your bias, how you feel? And have we had in the lead up to today, and I got to go back to the government, right? I will not I will not say that the NGOs are responsible for this, even though they play an equal role in society. I have to ask, did we have any program in Region 5? You can have a long walk, thousands of people, and you have a grand performance, cultural performance, and you have somebody who is full of biases stand at the podium and give a wonderful speech. But did you address the educational need emanating from breaking the bias? Do you have any structured programs in the communities to allow these young adults and particularly the teenagers to understand that they too have biases and it's okay? But when you can start treating people differently because of how you feel, that is not okay.
Yes.
Until we find the strength to address these gaps in our society, all we are doing is Mama Guy and myself out on the road with lots of flowers and pictures and pageantry. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yes,
pageantry.
Lots of flair and
you know, as if we're still campaigning. So this has to be done. Randy, thank you for having me. I've said a lot.
Yes, hold on. Let me just say this. As we come to program time, I'll give Coretta an opportunity, and then I'll jump to Nima for her final words. Go ahead, Coretta.
Yeah. Randy, I wanted to touch on what Natasha is saying there. And I think she skipped that whole part. But let me put it into context. The biases that Natasha is talking about, and until we can accept those, and she went on to talk about the parade and the march and all of that. But let me say this. We had a minister of government saying to a female MP that you want a dildo. How many outcries did we get coming about that? And right there, that's a bias. We got this same minister of government referring to one of my colleague, one of my sister, as a disgrace to the Muslim faith. And we have not heard any outcry coming from the PPP female ministers or the MPs. Not one. And so when we want to jump around and prance around the place and put on, give people white t-shirts and play as if you're so holy and righteous more than Mary, and you're walking down the streets and talking about breaking the bias, stop stifling your consciences. Stop being hypocrites. We have to call things out when they are wrong. We have to call them out. When persons within your camp, and I said that earlier, when persons within your camp, they're wrong, call them out. We cannot go out there and talk about breaking the barriers, and we're putting systems, we're breaking the barriers, and you're taking out all kinds of fancy pictures. But right there in your belly, you got the barriers right there, but you're not breaking it. And so I needed to bring this out so that we can understand that right at the very top, we have the barriers there. And unless we are serious, we are not going to get anywhere in terms of making our women feel wanted, making them feel equal, making them feel important to nation development if we don't break those barriers and we're not sincere in breaking those biases.
Thank you. MP Nima, your thoughts and your hopes as we move forward from today.
I would go right back to the beginning of the program where you played the video that spoke about her voice. We will use our voice to continue raising an awareness and seeking to help to break the biases that continue to exist in society. I saw one of the viewers, Majestic Pride, talk about today being International Women's Day, and only those women who have really high achievement were acknowledged. But tonight, I want all the women to know, whether you're a housewife, we salute you. Whether you're a driver, we salute you. We salute all of you who are in the hair salons taking care of us. We salute those women who have been trying to achieve their educational goals and are struggling. We salute you even in the struggle because we know that you're a great person and you will achieve. And do have a blessed night to all of you.
Right.
Thank you.
Well said. And ladies, let me say, I wish that you have a wonderful evening. I wish that we do not have to celebrate International Women's Day. We do not have to have slogans like "Break the Barrier" in the future, because if we get to that point where we don't have to say "break the barrier" and "break the bias," then we would have achieved something. And I agree with you. Let me say this before I go. I agree with you that sloganeering and parading is one thing, but what have you done in terms of putting systems and structures in place to ensure equality, to ensure that everybody is treated in the same way? Have you legislated anything to ensure that women are treated, we have equality and equal representation, so to speak? I would love the conversation this evening. I want to say a wonderful thank you very, very, very much from the bottom of my heart tonight. All these lovely women in the comments. Yes, the time was so short. I don't know where the time went. But I could believe it for Sherrod or colleague Sherrod Duncan in the ring. And, you know, I hope that sometime we can continue this conversation because there's so many things, so many topics to cover. Again, ladies, thank you very much for being a part of the program.
You're so welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you for
Bye-bye.
having us.
Right.
Thank you.
Right. Folks, MP Natasha Singh Lewis, MP Coretta McDonald, and MP Nima Flu-Best joining us on International Women's Day as we discuss issues, and we discuss the biases and the barriers women face. Let me say before I go, a very special shout out to all of the female viewers. I hope that you have a wonderful evening. I hope that you enjoyed today. Let me say, of course, a special good evening to the women in my life. Of course, my mother, Daphne Robertson. Thank you very much for all of you did for me. I have to say this International Women's Day. I have to shout out to my mother, my sisters. Of course, I want to say a very special good evening to all of the other women who have supported me professionally and privately. I want to say thank you very much and do enjoy the rest of the evening. Folks, as I usually say, let's continue to work together for national development. My name is Randolph Critchlow. I leave you with this video, and then we, of course, will leave you in the hands of Mr. Sherrod Duncan as we head in the ring. Let's leave you with this video and we will be out. Do enjoy the rest of the evening.
International Women's Day, we celebrate the power and potential of women and girls. We recognize their courage, resilience, and leadership. We mark the ways in which we are making progress towards a more gender-equal world. At the same time, we see how that progress is being undermined by multiple interlocking and compounding generational crises. Currently, we are witnessing the horrifying situation in Ukraine, where the impacts on women and girls, including the hundreds of thousands displaced, remind us that all conflicts, from Ukraine to Myanmar to Afghanistan, from the Sahel to Yemen, exact their highest price from women and girls. The Secretary General has been clear: war must stop. Recently, we have seen the impact of COVID-19 in increasing inequalities, driving poverty and violence against women and girls, and rolling back their progress in employment, health, and education. The accelerating crises of climate change and environmental degradation are disproportionately undermining the rights and well-being of women and girls. They are multiplying insecurity at all levels, from individual and household to national. Rising temperatures, extending droughts, violent storms, and floods are resulting in loss of livelihoods, depleting resources, and fueling migration and displacement. The latest major IPCC report on climate change and our Secretary General have warned us that nearly half of humanity is living in the danger zone now, and that many ecosystems are at the point of no return now. Climate change is a threat multiplier, but women, and especially young women, are solution multipliers. We have today the opportunity to put women and girls at the center of our planning and action, and to integrate gender perspectives into global and national laws and policies. We have the opportunity to rethink, reframe, and reallocate resources. We have the opportunity to benefit from the leadership of women and girls environmental defenders and climate activists to guide our planet's conservation. We need Indigenous women's intergenerational knowledge, practices, and skills. It will take unprecedented levels of global cooperation and solidarity to succeed. But there is no alternative to success. We must protect our hard-won gains on human rights and women's rights, and lead decisively to leave no woman or girl behind. We have a blueprint to follow. It involves women's full and equal participation and leadership in decision-making, their access to green jobs and the blue economy, their equal access to finance and resources. We need to ensure universal social protection and a care economy that protects us all. We have to scale up financing for gender-responsive climate, environmental and disaster risk initiatives, including for COVID-19 recovery, and to increase resilience to future shocks. The solution is there. We must resolve to pursue it. Let us make this International Women's Day a moment to recall that we have the answers, not just for SDG 5, but through the advancement of gender equality for all 17 SDG goals and Agenda 2030. I look forward to working with every one of you to that end, and I thank you.